Hi guys, so give a big round of applause to the UK Nursing and Midwifery Council, the NMC. Why are we clapping for the NMC? You soon find out. So as you all know, the NMC not long ago made changes to their English language requirements for international applicants that were willing to join the UK Nurses and Midwifery Council register. They made several changes with regards to combining results, so many things, but one of the most exciting changes that they made was the fact that now an employer reference would be accepted, okay? That is for people who were trained in a non-English speaking country but were taught in English, and they have about 12 months experience working in the UK health and social care sector, and their line managers who have NMC pins were willing to approve or say that they were actually able to communicate effectively in English, okay? So this was very exciting change for people that were not able to pass the Ielts or the OET and therefore had to come to the UK to work as carers, and then obviously they have been able to work here for over 12 months and now they were eligible to use this pathway. It also benefits those who missed the pass mark by just, let's say, 0.5, and they needed supporting statement or supporting document to prove their English proficiency. Guys, the truth is most people were very skeptical. I remember there's this gentleman at my workplace. He's Indian, and when I came to work in the UK, he was already working, and this guy is a hard worker, honestly, and apparently he was a nurse back in India, but he's been a care assistant in the UK for so many years because he was not able to get a required mark for the IELTS. So when you come here and then you start having a family, with how stressful the work schedule is, sometimes you lose the zeal to keep trying to pass the IELTS. And to me, I think that was this gentleman's situation. So he was a care assistant. Look at somebody who trained to be a nurse, okay? And then you could tell from everything about him that, you know, he would probably be a very good nurse. Yet he was not able to because of this strict English language requirements for international applicants. And the thing is, if he was not able to communicate in English, he would not have been able to stay in a health facility or in the UK and work for over 5 years, you know, without any communication issues. So when this thing was introduced and I made a video about it, the first thing I did when I saw him at work was to tell him, and then he was like, well, did you see what they wrote? They still wrote that it is not guaranteed that once you submit an employer reference, you get it. And yes, the NMC stated this, that it is not a guarantee that when you submit this, it will be approved. So that means people were still skeptical. They didn't know whether this will be fruitful or not. However, as of May of this year, NMC has sent out as many as 404 forms to collect these employer references. So far, as at the time that this article was published, 146 of such applications were accepted. And I'm happy to say that this gentleman who was skeptical at my workplace, his own has also been accepted, and he's currently preparing for his OSCE. Is that not amazing, guys? Talking about IELTS, okay, let me give a big shout out to the sponsor of today's video. Today's video is proudly sponsored by Ielts Medical. Okay, if you're a healthcare professional, let's say a doctor willing to come to the UK and you need help passing your PLAB 1 or your PLAB 2, or you need help passing your IELTS or your OET, the only institution that you should trust that has helped so many people to register to join either the General Medical Council or the Nursing and Midwifery Council of the UK is Ielts Medical, guys.
Have you taken the IELTS multiple times without success? Are you 2, 1, or even just half a band away from what the NMC or GMC require in order to give you your PIN or license to practice? Then stop, take a breath, and let us help. You see, here at Ielts Medical, we've given doctors and nurses the tools they need to pass the academic version of the IELTS exam as efficiently as possible. Whether you've reached above 7.0 in 3 sub-tests, but can't seem to crack IELTS writing, whether it's IELTS reading that's the thorn in your side, it's okay, we're here for you.
And guys, whether you are back home in Africa, Asia, wherever, or you are in the UK, you can still sign up with them and get a tuition that you want. I recommend them and I keep recommending them, and so many people have brought testimonies even on the channel, guys. So thank you so much, Ielts Medical, for sponsoring today's video. So one of the people that lobbied and campaigned, you know, to the NMC to reduce their English language requirements or to have a look at their English language requirements to make some changes was this Indian doctor currently in the UK called Dr. Ajimo Pradeep. She's a liver transplant coordinator at King's College Hospital. And another person was Dr. Dillis Davis, a nursing lecturer at the University of Salford. So they began their campaign on behalf of thousands of Indian trained nurses. Okay, guys, that's why we need lots of foreign trained nurses to take up higher positions in the UK so that they can lobby and campaign for such changes. I remember when this NMC decided to make changes and then they had a public consultation, these two people were at the forefront of, you know, the campaign and lobbying that NMC looks at it. So they began their campaign on behalf of thousands of Indian trained nurses who have been able to pass the language test and achieve midwifery registration despite living and working as healthcare assistants in the UK. They said life had been very challenging for many in this position, and now this lady is saying that she has received many joyful and heartfelt conversations or calls from internationally educated nurses who have received their PIN due to the supporting information pathway. She said that the majority of these nurses have been in the UK for over a decade and working as unregistered practitioners despite trying multiple times to meet the English language requirements. For instance, there's this lady here called Linda Varghese. She relocated to the UK about 12 years ago, and after her husband and mother both became unwell and almost about 18 months sick leave herself, she said she couldn't get the time to revise and resit to take the Ielts or the OET again, so she just forgot about it and has been working as a healthcare assistant for several years in a care home and then moved to the hospital around 2018. She said when she heard the changes, she turned to her employer and her employer was willing to provide the evidence, and now she has gotten it. So she just recently became a nurse in February. She said she's been fighting to get her NMC PIN for 12 years. You see, it's very sad for people that are nurses, yet just because of these requirements, they just have to, work as care assistant and then, lose all the skills that they have gone to school for. It's very, very sad. There's also this gentleman called Mr. Duduko, who was one of the very first internationally educated nurses to make it to the UK register through the supporting information pathway. He also says that he was very depressed thinking about his career back then and then working here as a care assistant. All these testimonies are very, very positive. And one of the exciting things that I got from this article is that they said that, however, campaigners including Dr. Davis and Dr. Pradeep have called on the NMC to consider further changes to its requirements. NMC told Nursing Times last year that it would consider looking at other changes during 2023-2024 and once the first round of changes had been fully implemented. So this is not the end of the changes to the English language requirements, guys. This is not the end. Apparently, there are still some changes that the NMC is hoping to look at, but they were willing to make sure that these changes that they proposed earlier were being fully implemented, and it looks like all of them are being implemented now. So now they are going to look at further changes to make it even much easier for people to meet this English language requirements to be able to join the UK Nursing and Midwifery Register. So this is the good news, guys. Personally, like I said, I know one gentleman from my work and another gentleman from church, and then all these testimonies that we are reading now. Okay, so guys, if you are still looking at using the supporting information pathway to prove your English proficiency, do not waver, do not be too skeptical. Make sure you're just doing the right thing and just give it a try, and I'm very sure you're going to come out with positive news. Okay, lots of people are succeeding